on the Sea. On board the Embassy Yacht Carnival Saturday, 18th February 2023. Boarding 3 p.m. at the Hyatt Waterfront in Port of Spain. Sailing 4 to 7 p.m. Tickets cost TT $200. Includes free shots and cutters on entry. Plus, giveaways from Fab Look Beauty Bar 868 and $1,000 in cash. Courtesy World of Things online retail store. Performances by Bubbles and Yankee Boy. Alongside DJs Princess Chow, Nigel Snipes, Razor and more. Tickets available online at islandetickets.com. Bobby's Bar Curette. Sheds 868-461-4159. Cross 346-380-9679. TikTok on the Sea is hosted by Lady Hype and powered by Campari, Magnum, the World of Things online retail store, and Cross Promotions. Miss this? Your mad is niceness outside.
Join Pastor Kelvin Heinerine and friends for The Way, The Truth, The Life Radio Ministry, a Church of God ministry, live on the street 919 FM from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. This and every Sunday on the street 919 FM. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father except through me. John chapter 14, verse 6. For further information, contact 686-3845-349-5178 or 342-7303.
Dr. Livette. Join him right here on your radio every Friday afternoon from 5:05 p.m. to 5:35 p.m. for your dose of the health and wellness in a program that is sure to change your life. Popular for promoting Livette rather than diet, Dr. Livette has transformed a number of lives nationwide and is now live on the street 919 FM every Friday from 5:05 p.m. Tune in and also learn about the U-Juice to build your immunities and promote overall great health. Dr. Livette on the street 919 FM this and every Friday from 5:05 p.m. to 5:35 p.m. It's time that you live.
Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
We now take you over for spiritual food for the body, mind, and soul.
Yes, shalom. I'm Priest and Captain Galawan from the ISUPK under Commanding General Lehana right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Right, so I'll go and get straight into it. Martin Luther King. You know, everybody loves Martin Luther King, but let me tell you something. Martin Luther King, if he was alive today, he would have been against Christ. Martin Luther King. Because Martin Luther King would have been one of the black religious leaders who would have been against Christ. Because Christ was preaching separation. And Martin Luther King was teaching integration. And if you look at the civil rights movement, before the civil rights movement, black people was prospering. In black schools, black hospitals, we had black everything and we was prospering. Black businesses was prospering. Right after the civil rights movement under Martin Luther King and his philosophy of integration, black people started to suffer. The other races team up to make sure that black people don't ever prosper again. So if Martin Luther King was alive today, he would have been one of the black religious leaders who would have been against Jesus Christ. And thank the Lord for Commanding General Lehana, because he hold on the truth. And when Commanding General Lehana hold on the truth, and he showed us the truth about what happened after the civil rights movement and how black people was before the civil rights movement, we get to understand here, boy, Commanding General Lehana, he's a prophet. And Martin Luther King, he's a false prophet. Because again, Christ was preaching separation. Christ was preaching, hey, if you want to have sex with somebody, have sex within your own race. Martin Luther King said no, have sex with other races. That is what Martin Luther King really did in the civil rights movement. His philosophy was to have sex with other races. That was Martin Luther King's philosophy. That was his goal in the civil rights movement. To have sex with other races. Martin Luther King, he failed black people. He failed black people so much. Look at us today. We're suffering today because of Martin Luther King's philosophy of integration. Integration is the reason why black people suffering so much. Because when we were separate and we had loved each other as black people and we were supporting black businesses, we was going in black schools and black teachers was teaching black youths. Black people was making it. But because of integration, we start to fall now. We start to fight against one another. And the other races make sure that black people don't ever prosper again in life just because of the civil rights movement.
The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
Yes, and so I just want to say, don't forget the Lord's 54th annual Passover, hosted by Commanding General Yohana, will be held at the Raleigh, North Carolina, April 1st at 5 p.m. Don't forget that. The Lord's Passover, the Lord's 54th annual Passover. Like, that is the only Passover it has on the face of the earth. It has no other Passover. If the Passover is not in the ISUPK, that is not a Passover. And Commanding General Yohana again is calling on all the people who feel that they have a grudge against the UPK, all the people who left the UPK and start to do their own thing. That is a no-no in the Bible. Like the Bible says, what was written aforetime was written for our learning. You can't start off something and then leave it and start your own thing. So Commanding General Yohana say, here what's going on. Anybody who has a beef or an issue with the ISUPK, Allah come back. Come in. He's calling Allah, come to the Lord's Passover and let me settle the differences. Wherever issues Allah have, come to the Lord's Passover, because that is the only Passover that the Lord is having on the face of the earth. Any other things that Allah calling Passover, that is not no Passover. That is not no Passover. The Lord's Passover right now, the 54th annual Passover, will be held at the Raleigh, North Carolina, April 1st at 5 p.m. I will be at North Carolina, April 1st. I will be with my brothers in North Carolina, April 1st at the Lord's 54th annual Passover. You understand? So y'all don't forget that. Y'all come on down. The Passover fee, just go on isubk.com. You'll see the Passover fee and come in. Right? All Israel should be there. All Israel. Commanding General Yohana, he's calling on all Israel to be there. You understand? Like, again, if Martin Luther King was alive, he would not have been going to the Lord's Passover. Martin Luther King would have been celebrating Christmas or New Year's, which is against God. God said, don't celebrate the heathens and them, what them does celebrate. Celebrate what the Lord said to celebrate. Right now, the Lord said April 1st is the Passover. And all Israel, all black people need to be at the Lord's Passover. Stop studying Christmas and New Year's and Valentine's Day were coming up. And well, my God, Carnival, 147 million, I believe it was. Just for Carnival? My goodness. And poor people still suffering. But the government could spend 147 million for Carnival. My goodness. Y'all, them, you understand? Y'all, them things have nothing to do with black people. Let me stop go Carnival. As a matter of fact, everybody should boycott Carnival. That is what everybody should do. Because things hard in the country, but the government spend $147 million on Carnival. The other day, I see a pumpkin for $364 a pumpkin. That craziness. We should boycott Carnival. And we know what black people should do? We should come together and pool our own resources and build our own economy. That is what we did before the civil rights movement and we was prospering. When Martin Luther King come and touch down and talk about integration. You understand? That is when black people started to fall. We couldn't make it anymore. You understand? We were suffering. The racists team up to make sure that we don't ever come back together and help one another again. When you go into the bank for a loan, it was hard now because of integration, because of the philosophy that Martin Luther King pushed on black people about integration and love the other races. You understand? Like, if you have an enemy and the enemy wants to kill you every day, how you can love that enemy? You seen an enemy coming to kill you, you gonna love the enemy? That's Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome is when you fall in love with the enemy or you fall in love with your oppressor. Martin Luther King forced black people to fall in love with their oppressor. And up to this day, our oppressor is oppressing us. That is what Martin Luther King, with his philosophy of integration. Come, let me integrate and let black people go into the white schools. Let me integrate and let black people go in the white hospitals. Now we go into the white hospitals, now we frighten. Because why? Our oppressor wants to kill us. We go into the white schools now. The education that our oppressor is teaching us is wrong information. You know, so I can remember at that time they were saying black people never came into the Americas as slaves. We came into the Americas to work for a piece of salary, which was a lie. What they're teaching us in these white schools is lies. But that's what Martin Luther King wanted. Integration have nothing to do with black people. Let the other races and them integrate. Black people, we need to start to separate ourselves from these other races. That is the only way for us to make it in life. Like we gave Prestige Holdings $800 million last year. Prestige Holdings is with Sabga. For those of you all who don't know, Sabga and them make $800 million. That is off our black people. Is black people give Prestige Holdings that money? Why black people can't come together and pool our own resources? Why it's so hard? You know why it's so hard? Because Martin Luther King's philosophy of integration. Because of Martin Luther King's philosophy of integration, we feel as black people, we should only support white people. Because of Martin Luther King's philosophy of integration, we feel as black people that we should only support the East Indians. We feel as black people, because of Martin Luther King's philosophy of integration, that we should only support the Chinese. But if all come and learn the Bible, Christ said to love your own race. Christ said if you want to have sex within your own race. Christ was never somebody to say, let us integrate. Christ was against integration. Christ was preaching separation. Because once black people could separate their minds from the philosophies and the idolatries of all these other races, we would start to come together as a race. And you see that prison system, it wouldn't be filled with black people. You know why that prison system filled with black people? Because of Martin Luther King's philosophy of integration. We go on to the other races, they give we guns and drugs to sell, and we accepting it. You understand? But if we come to this Bible, boy, this Bible is about separation. This own race, like Christ said in the Bible, me go make it up. Them is things in the Bible like Christ said. So earlier, I know everybody maybe love Martin Luther King, and everybody feel he was just powerful man. But Martin Luther King, he was a powerful man for our oppressor. He made us think that we should love our oppressor even though our oppressor coming to kill us. Nah, you can't do that. You understand? We need to follow Christ. And Christ said, separate yourselves from these other races and build your economy. Gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. That's what the scripture said. Like nobody right now loves black people. Everybody hates black people. So we as the race, You understand? We is the race that everybody hates. So therefore, we is the race that needs to come together. Come together, build our black schools, build our black hospitals, build our black businesses. That is what we need to do. And you'll see once that happens, crime will start to fall. But because crime's skyrocketing right now, it's because of Martin Luther King's philosophy of integration. We integrate with the other races so much so that dreadlocks, we get that from the East Indians. Because the East Indians' god is Shiva. If you watch Shiva, Shiva had locks. And that is where black people got the locks from. You understand? The dreadlocks, to make it correct, the dreadlocks, that is where black people got it from. From Shiva. You understand? The first Rasta didn't have dreadlocks. The first Rasta did not have dreadlocks. But it's after a while when the East Indians came off the Fatal Razak in 1845. You understand? We watched Shiva and we like the dreadlocks. And we started to grow our hair in dreadlocks. There's a difference between locks and dreadlocks. It's two different things. Like right now I have cane rows in my hair. You understand? That is like a lock. A cane row is like a lock. A lock is something you could lock to close and unlock it. A dreadlocks, you cannot unlock a dreadlocks. It's just something that just knot up. The only way to get rid of a dreadlocks, you have to cut it off. You have to shave it off. And that is what Shiva had. You understand? But in the Bible, the Israelites and them had locks or plaits, cane rows, where you could unplait it and you could plait it back. You can't do that with dreadlocks. The real original dreadlocks, you can't do that with that. The only way to take off our dreadlocks is to shave it off. So black people, we need to start to separate ourselves and come together as a race. We is the only race that nobody loves. Everybody, the only time that it does look like another race love us is because what we could do to make them look good. Like, like look at basketball. Without black people in basketball gonna be nothing. Look at football. Without black people in football gonna be nothing. You understand? All them Olympics. Look at this former runner, Usain Bolt. They need people they need black people to make them sports look great. Yeah, go ahead. Right.
The next one. Right, can't to order,
I think it on.
Yeah, right. So remember just the other day, and look how racist this is, These people, this blatant in front here. This is the NBA, right?
Right.
Recently, there about 2 months ago, tops, a white basketball player from the eastern side, but playing in the NBA in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
He makes 60 points, big thing. I think 60 or 61 points. You know, they ain't do no drug testing and all of that. As soon as our brother makes 71 points, playing for the Cavaliers, you understand? As soon as he makes 71 points, they want to put you on drug test. Look at that,
Yeah.
So we can't do nothing good, you understand? Anytime we do something good, we on drug, but we superior. Everybody know that.
Yeah.
We could see it in all these sports. Usain Bolt, as I say, the fastest man in the world. Anybody break your record yet? And the next man from Jamaica, the same one with the plats, Johan Blake.
Right.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, and all these just a senior caller here.
Yeah. Can. I'm
Hello?
Hello, good afternoon, brothers.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah, man. I want to be quick. Hear this now. Taking in your program, you know I just listen to you, right?
Right.
Taking, we're saying nothing. And that word they're using, called integration. It's not really a word to use glibly. It is directly related to the mechanics of manifestation. It is directly related to teach spirituality. Because here you are telling us that, Martin Luther King, which I do think you're real much going with the Martin Luther thing. You were saying to integrate. Here you are saying that was bad. But here you are now speaking of the athletes that integrated. As you just said, that the sports would not look like nothing without black people. So that is integration. So maybe that's part of what Mr. Martin Luther King was speaking about. That is integration.
Let me ask you something now, right? So when the Chinese come and work on a construction site, when they leave China, come and work on a construction site, or the East Indians and them, and they sit down by themselves and work and go back home, they integrated? Are they going in line with brothers and things? They going and we call it have sex with Negroes and things like that? And take them up as wives?
The reason why
because we had to get this correct now, because sometimes we just want to see one side now. We doesn't want to see the whole picture, which is this.
No.
That brother slave, and what we call a slave, that is a job. A man going and run, an athlete, whatever the case, that is a job. That is a slavery for them who really understand the mechanics of how our society is run. Egypt had the same thing. Egypt wasn't integrating with us. They hated the shepherds and them. They used to put us one side. But they want slave labor though. And?
But all in all, brother.
There's the difference today. That's the question I have to ask. What's the difference today as opposed to Egypt that time?
When you say, where's the difference between...
What's the difference? A man working, that man slave, what we call a slave. He hustling. That is just a job. You go to your work and all of that. You don't have to love up the culture and do all them different things. That's what we're talking about. Integration is where you're not taking on everybody else's custom. You're not taking care of yours. You're not doing what the Lord say to do. You understand? And you causing your people to fall and calling them to fall into all kind of wickedness and traps and sin and killing out each other and all that. You don't have to smoke. And sniff cocaine if they want to do their business.
Allow me to rebuttal, right?
Go ahead.
We as African people, as black people, we know how to live. The Indian people too, the native Indians also. We know how to live without an economic system. However, the challenge against the economic system, you can't really confront that head on because you will get wiped out now. One S550.
That is what we know. If I may, right? I fully agree with you. Here's what we know in the school.
Right.
Once we don't control the system, which is the only people on the face of the planet. You understand? Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians,
that
and the command general today is going to set back what the Lord had in place before.
If you go
that's not. You're about real good because I agree with you, brother. I agree with you. I don't agree with plenty of your points, but I agree with you on this one. You know why? And you understand this. Once you do not control your economics, you have no say.
Listen,
when you don't control the military, you have no say. No, you're not good. And then I'll definitely listen to you.
Properly.
If I may, brother, because we can't talk at the same time. We're not in a fish market.
All right, I'll be quick. Listen.
Go ahead.
We are accustomed, we know about living, being alive, and functioning without an economic system. Okay? If you were to build a pyramid now, no economic system could withstand the structure of and what it takes to build a pyramid. So we know about existing without an economic system. However, we are integrated into the economic system. All the spiritual and all the Bible you would read, you are integrated into the system. But the whole idea is to integrate, infiltrate, and integrate with your knowledge. And that is the non-violent way to overtake. So yes, I made a statement that the change had to take place within your mind. Not so much on our outward. It's consciousness that form the systems that we just build. So what they need to do is just address the consciousness of the black people, of the black person, the blackness. That thing that when you close your eyes, the antimatter that you see when you close your eyes, the spirit, the understanding of creation and God that dwells within the heart of every person. And then we will unite. Anytime you try to say that the physical things on the outside is what will bring unity, that is non-spirituality.
Let me ask you something though. How much people unite with that same philosophy?
Say again?
How much people united with that same philosophy? How much people come off of drugs?
What I am
How much people out of the prison and all of that with the philosophy you're talking about?
Is logic we're speaking about here?
No, asking. So since the logic does work, right? We know what logical, right? Logical is what to do, right?
Okay. The other races are bounded by what we do not see. They are bounded by the philosophy that binds them together.
Well, they call it, we don't hang up on you. I don't know if it's your money run out or something like that, right? But call it to make it clear, I don't know, you for some reason, like you like Martin Luther King's philosophy of integration. And because you like Martin Luther King's philosophy of integration, you is one of the cause of why black people is suffering today.
Correct.
You is one of them. You understand? When we're talking about the integration, we're talking about Okay, when black people integrate with other races under this oppression that we're in right now, we just follow their philosophies. We just follow their doctrines. We just follow their laws. When you read the Bible, black people used to do trades with other races. We used to do trades with other races. But that doesn't mean that we was integrating with them. It didn't mean that we was following Mother Lakshmi or Shiva or we was following Horus and Cyrus. It didn't mean that. We was doing trades with the other races. But right now in this society and this oppression, when black people integrate with the other races, we just follow their doctrines, their laws, their philosophies. That is why today I am sure you is one of them who celebrated Christmas and New Year's. And I'm sure you might be celebrating Carnival too. But if you was separated, if you was against Martin Luther King's philosophy, you would have been traveling, you would have buy a ticket today, go on a plane. On April 1st, you would have been at Raleigh, North Carolina, the Lord's Passover. Because the Lord said to celebrate the Passover. The Lord never said to celebrate Carnival, celebrate Christmas, or celebrate New Year's. But because we believe in Martin Luther King's philosophy of integration, black people is filling the prison system because we believe in integration. When we talk about integration, we're talking about our mind is following the laws of the other nations. Our mind is following the customs of the other nations. And again, I give you an example, Carnival coming up. That is the mindset of the other races and them. And Valentine's Day coming up. We want to celebrate Valentine's Day. But why that? Because of Martin Luther King's philosophy of integration. And when we celebrate Valentine's Day, when we celebrate Christmas, you know what happens? We go end up either sick or we go end up in the prison system. Because why? When they hear songs like I want a piece of pork for my Christmas, we as black people now go and eat pork. When we eating pork now, the Lord say eating pork is a sin. We go end up getting sick with some kind of disease from pork and end up getting sick. You understand? When we celebrating these other customs that we're not supposed to, like smoking marijuana, we got that from the East Indians because the East Indians when they now came out the Fatal Razak, you could ask them all pundits and them, the old senior pundits. They say that when they smoke marijuana, the more high that they get, they feel they would have bring them closer to the God. And the longer that their dreadlocks was, they feel they would have bring them more closer to the God. So we start to smoke marijuana now, following the East Indians' customs. You know it's a law? It's a law not to smoke marijuana. So when we smoke marijuana now, we go end up in the prison system. So because of your philosophy of integration, because you love Martin Luther King so much and his philosophies of integration, that is why black people fill in the prison system and we fill in the hospital beds. Because you love the philosophy of integration. We're not talking about you going and work for them. That is our job. We're talking about going into their minds and believing in them God, following them God and following them customs. That is the integration we're talking about. That's what you can call it. Yellow?
Yeah. No, I don't believe in it again. I don't believe in no Christmas. You could ask anybody, let them call in and tell you.
What you believe in? Carnival? Valentine's Day?
When they say
New
Carnival
Year's?
is anything to believe in, I think
Why you
that's
celebrate
kind of
Valentine's Day,
Christmas.
New Year's? Come now,
Say
man.
again?
You must celebrate one of them holidays, man.
You know why I don't believe in, but I don't celebrate almost sure no that not even birthday. Because time is an illusion. You know why I believe in, brother? I believe in consciousness. Don't wrongfully accuse me. And I am only aware of that philosophy of integration tonight speaking. It's not that I'm in love with what was said, but it is a powerful statement. Right now you're using Babylon system to transmit your message. you are integrated into Babylon system.
But yeah, that's but Babylon using the Bible to go on the courts and all kind of different things. So what? So we have to take lections and them again and them. You know what I mean? Them have to go and do anything they want. So God in the common sense, our consciousness do have common sense in it all. Like common sense, like consciousness do have common sense. Me understand that? Everybody? Nah, man, I don't understand that. So what? You know, what happened? We walking around blind and deaf, dumb and stupid and everything together. Or let me tell you
this, because I'm Martin Luther King's philosophy of integration. We are in hell. And because black people is in hell, we have to use them.
Black people in hell because
we have to use their things to get across the message to black people to tell them, let me come together as a race.
Right.
We in hell right now. So we need to use, as you say, Babylon system to get across the message to black people.
You are
so
right.
they could separate from the other races and come together as a race.
Brother, give me a little second, please. This moment that you're using here to transmit to the brothers and them, you have integrated into the system to transmit your message. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You have to be careful how you're using the word, because it just may apply to what you have to do as being part of your duty to get the system out there, brother. That's what I meant.
The most I could say is because of your philosophy of integration, that's why black people filling up the prison system.
No, but you don't understand what I'm saying.
Right? What you supposed to call and say is, yeah, but we should stop integrating with them other races. And we come together as a race and build our economy. Up to now, you never say, yes, let me build our economy as black people. Yes, let me build with black schools. Yes, let me build with black hospitals. Up to now, you never see that. Yes, let me stop. Give Prestige Holding $800 million. Last year, black people gave Prestige Holdings $800 million. Up to now, you never say yes. It's true what you're saying. You're talking about integration. Come on now, man.
That is the problem. I cannot tell you one thing here. I have a problem with my people. I'm going down the drain, lying down the side of the road. Everybody killing me. You understand? Everybody saying what they want. Drugs coming in through by we, guns coming through by we, prostitution. You understand? It's only we. They want the Caribbean, want to hire because we looking real good. But all we sell them skin outside exposed. You understand? We ain't putting up no jobs for them. We ain't going to try to get together. You know what I mean? To get as much land as we could to go and utilize all that mountain space that you understand?
You're trying to defend Martin Luther King and his philosophy of integration, trying to defend it. Up to now, you say yes, as the other races were bringing the guns and drugs in the black community and have been killing one another. You ain't saying yes, as the other races doing that. You're talking about integration. Right now, we're integrating. Come on now, man. Bring a solution. Tell the youths and them yes. Stop taking the guns and drugs from the other races. And stop killing one another as black people. Say that. That's what you had to say.
Yeah,
but integration, right now we integrating.
About 100 other businessmen come together and we say, here, go on, whatever little we could do, we willing to do. We willing to help. You understand? Like you see, you could put we here together and get something done for them, youth and them, so they wouldn't be having to think on this level. And then let you see the Bible of consciousness go work for them. That is all.
How are you going to address the weakness that has allowed the brothers and them to accept?
Yeah, but that's your point. Everybody can point in the problem. Where's the solution? Everybody knows the problem.
The solution is let the brothers and them understand the power that they have.
How do you understand when nobody's showing them? Viewers, where are the people that are showing them?
Say again?
Where's the people that showing them? All the people with all the resources, all the time on their hand. Where's the people that are not showing them?
Yeah, right.
It's not about, it's about your philosophy, it's about how you think.
Yeah, but how they think, and if you're not telling them, if you're not showing them, they're not seeing a thing.
Right now, you telling them to integrate, you know. So when they integrate to the other races who are bringing the guns and drugs to them, they go accept the guns and drugs. Because you preaching integration, you know. You say right now we integrating. So you're preaching it.
Preaching integration.
You need to say, let me stop.
How are you
let me separate ourselves from these other races. Because our integration is the reason why we believe. Because what's my black people poor? Let me be real. So where we get the guns and drugs from? When slavery was abolished, where did we get the guns and drugs from?
I'm going to put the question in another way.
Is another race who bring it and give it. The other races were rich, came into the ghettos and give black people it. And because of your philosophy of integration,
No, brother, it's because
of your philosophy, because you like Martin Luther King so much, and you believe in his philosophy of integration, you're telling black people to accept the guns and drugs when the other races bring it in and you get to. That is what you preaching right now.
Brothers have to go into the
You need to tell black people to separate themselves from these other races who gain them the guns and drugs.
Correct.
And stop support prestige holdings.
Correct.
That is what you need to tell black people. Because when they're telling them integration, they will keep going by KFC and spending their money by KFC. They will keep going by Pizza Hut and spending their money by Pizza Hut.
Right.
Instead of they go by a black sister who's selling breastbone and wings.
Correct.
And supporting the black sister who are breastbone and wings.
That's right.
That's what you need to tell
Exactly.
black people. Not about integration and integration.
That we have to do. Push that. Let them know, understand, love each other. Support each other, understand? Go by them and make sure. Sacrifice and go there. Prestige them don't care. At the end of the day, look at this mistreat all the workers, all of them. Look at the kind of money they paying them. And 800, the boasting about 800 million they make off of we.
Yeah.
Come now, man.
800 million.
People that work in KFC supposed to have a real nice package. Dental thing, we call it when they're pregnant. All of that is supposed to have a real nice good package. You follow like they work in corporate somewhere because all that money they're making. Some kind of investment for them. They're supposed to have shares inside Prestige Holdings. How much people have shares that work in KFC are shares in Prestige Holdings? Even publicly traded? Huh?
Mm-hmm. You hold John 1 and 11. Caller, you can call back. I see some caller was calling there. You can call back caller. John 1 and 11. Who was that caller before? You know him?
Nah, but he's calling sometime, but you know what I mean? You have to get correct.
I'm asking him, yeah.
Right. We name him, sorry? Slacky?
Nah, forget asking him now.
No, sir.
Just John 1 and 11. Hello, caller? Hello?
Yes, gentlemen.
Yes.
Gentlemen.
Talk up a little louder. I hardly hear you.
The owner of the station cannot be proud about what is going on right now.
You see, the owner of the station cannot be proud, but understand something. This is a paid program. Like everybody else come with a paid program. They push their philosophy and they believe some of the cases. We understand exactly what the Bible says, what must be done. Sometimes, because of the lies and how soft and nice these nice lies sound to us all we life, when people come and talk real talk, people just have a problem with it. But no problem. Carry on, brother. You calling in. You go ahead. And thanks for the call too. Go ahead.
Hello?
Okay, hold on a second, right? The people who are listening...
Talk up a little loud, caller.
Okay, the people who are listening, they want to be able to hear what you have to say. It is quite obvious you have spent time studying and attempting to advocate certain types of information, and the hope is that you are going to empower our people. Is that correct?
Correct.
Good. That kind of thing that's going on between two brothers does not augur well for the people who are listening, and they're hoping to be able to get something from you because you have been trying to study. Now let me ask you a few questions. There is an old saying, because we are talking about uplifting the people. There is a saying that when you are born, your weight is your worth in gold. Do you understand what that means?
Caller, let me ask you this, caller. You believe in integration? Because up to now, you ain't saying yes. What I'm saying is, should black people need to come together and let me pool our resources?
I am going to.
You need to watch me. There's some. When we speak,
wanted to have that conversation.
When we speak in general, where anybody could understand what we say. Why is black people filling up the prison system, and how we could solve that problem? That's why you need to come on the radio station and see.
Right. Why is it that we have so many African officers, and most of the law enforcement uncles and aunties have been Africans? And why is it the African is the one locking up the African and making the African look as though the African is so disruptive and always into crime and all kind of stuff?
If I may answer that.
How could our people, who have been historically the law enforcers, right? How come the very same people, the majority of them, in law enforcement, everybody auntie and uncle and grandpa was, but they are the ones who is most locked up.
If I may.
That is a very good question.
Yeah, of course, because if that system used to work, it would have worked to rehabilitate them, and they would have never gone that route. If the aunt and uncle supposed to be the one equipped with showing them exactly what to do, it would not have been a system where it's really for profit. That system is not designed to rehabilitate anybody. That is why, for millennia, right? They're in the prison system and they continue to fill them up, and majority of us who are the officers, because I'll tell you, I have family members who in the service and whatever the cases as well, right? I understand from a standpoint that they take an oath. When they take the oath, it doesn't matter the person. What they deal with is the situation. Everything is compartmentalized, right? So when the higher-ups say, okay, this is what we're going to do, right, and this is the agenda they're pushing, we don't understand the historical references or what really triggers this or what they have in place, which is to ensure that we, as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, continue to break God laws so that they have loopholes to continue to have us full in the prison, and it's an entire, and what do you call this thing, systematic oppression. It's a systematic system that they have in place. And when you understand the key mechanisms of that, and how this works, what you want to get your people off of or get them out of is integration. Why they integrated with everybody else? They do what everybody else. You notice everybody else getting away with crimes, but we getting locked up, right?
Okay.
Caller, where's the name, caller? Where's the name?
Let me just say this. Hold a second.
Where's the name, caller?
What is my name?
Yes.
I am B.
Dane?
Dane?
B, D-E-Y.
Day? All right. Thanks again for calling, Day.
Hold on. Let me finish.
Well, we have a lot of callers, We have a lot of callers calling. Yes, yeah, a caller trying to call about 20 times.
Let me wrap up quickly.
Yeah.
Get your pen and paper. This is
now, right now, you need to get your pen and paper.
Okay,
because
hold on.
You calling this conversation trying to be political right now. We ain't come here to be political. The solution is stopping these black on black crime and people fill up the prison system. It's again the school and learn who their God is. Caller, right now, you don't know who your God is, and you need to come in this school as a black person.
Go and look at the Treaty of Verona. Go and look at the Doctrine of Discovery. Go and look at what is merchant law. Go and look at what is the Revolutionary War. And go and look at the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Go look at these things.
Caller, right now, you're not giving a solution how to stop black people from filling up the prison system. You're just being political.
You're not listening.
Just talk and say what causing black people to fill the prison system. Don't tell me about the police officers.
Exactly.
That's their job.
Right.
If black people had know who their God is,
have a nice day,
and they had stopped these, call back in there. Call us. Yeah, next caller, this caller.
If I may add to this real quick, right? Right. What happened is that everybody coming in again. You're not listening to what we saying now. We trying to utilize the little bit of time here to bring key pointers to the public. Right, we don't have the luxury of time to go through all these different things. You knowledgeable about that. The same thing with the man with the spirituality. Or let's study all these different things, and then we have a school number which is 290-5173. That is the time that is utilized to go through all this long thing. You understand? But when it come into here, the people in there need as much food, as much potent food as possible. Utilize the time for that. You understand? We don't mind only calling. We want to call in, but we want, you understand, to bring actual solutions. Where's the people that want to contribute to doing the work?
Yeah.
That is what we want here.
Yeah. Hello, caller?
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening. Thank you. I want to touch on something I heard a couple of weeks ago, and it disturbed me even into my spirit. I heard a caller said that we are not like, to use the word Africa, from the Africans on the continent. And I think if I recall, he said something like, there's them and there's us. I have never heard anything more ridiculous, because in the first instance, you must have an origin. Everybody have an origin. You must have that.
Okay, caller, I'm trying to understand what you're trying to say is you saying that we as Africans, and they say the other caller said that we're not Africans. I'm trying to understand.
No, the caller said that we are not like the people on the continent of Africa.
Okay.
And he was saying that we are not like them.
Right.
Nothing is further from the truth. There's so many words that we use that we still use from when we came off the slave ships.
Okay.
There are so many things that we do. But since we got so wise and we're using all these Western things, like pong in food.
Okay, let me ask you this, caller. You just bathe in goat pee?
Hello?
You just bathe in goat pee?
Bathe in what?
Goat pee.
No, I don't. Why you ask
that? Them just do that in the continent of Africa.
They do a multitude of things there.
Right, and
but
you
that
see that
doesn't mean that we are different from them. This is all I am trying to say.
We are different from them. We are different from them. We are totally different from the Africans. Not because I black and them black means we are the same people.
It's not because that you are black and they are black. I'm trying to show you that all our customs, things that we do, are things that was handed down from them.
No.
From we were there.
No, caller. We are Israelites. We who came off the transatlantic slave ships, the blacks, Hispanics, and the native Indians, we are Israelites. What
Where
happened
the Israelites
at that time?
Were from?
I
Where
think
the
it's
Israelites
90
were
AD
from?
or one of them times.
70
AD. Mm-hmm. We ran black people who was in the Israelites.
Right.
The ones who was dark skinned, we ran into Africa. Now all of us was dark skinned. The Africans was dark skinned, the Israelites was dark skinned. But we had different laws.
Where
so
the
Africans in
from?
Africa knew that we was different, even though all of us was dark skinned.
Correct.
Because our God told us to don't shave off your beard.
Mm-hmm.
Our God told us to don't be a homosexual.
Right.
But the Africans was being homosexual. Mm-hmm. The Africans was shaving off their beard.
Mm-hmm.
So the Africans knew that we was different to them.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened now when the white man came into Africa? The Africans, hold on, when the white man came to Africa, the Africans captured the Hebrew Israelites.
Correct.
And put us in dungeons and sold us to the white man.
Right. Also, if I may add real quick, right, to the caller there, listen, if you're hearing this a little bit, because you probably get a little upset and come off the station, right? You can call back in if you'd like, right? But this is a book here from Babylon to Timbuktu.
Right.
Right? The quote the brothers now quoting from there is from page 84, right? But there's the second paragraph. Now look through it. Babylon to Timbuktu. Look at quality school and we'll go on video and all it and you all and show all this, right? Yeah. Then you're looking at page 90. From page 90, you're looking at
you could read the second paragraph from Babylon to Timbuktu.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. This is from Babylon to Timbuktu, right? Second paragraph on page 84. In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa.
1 million Jews fled into Africa. 1 million Jews fled into Africa. So not because we was in Africa means all of us is the same.
Right.
We are not the same.
Right.
Get that in our brains now. That's one of the reasons why we feel in the prison system.
Mm-hmm.
We feel our God is Africa.
We
feel our God is Horus and Cyrus.
Mm-hmm.
When our God is not Horus and Cyrus.
Right.
Our God is right here in the Bible.
Correct.
Read all the Bible, black people, and know who all our God is. Call the number in the ISUPK right in Trinidad and Tobago, 290-5173.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Call the school's number and all get in contact.
Right.
And we will teach all of the Bible, all learn all the laws and histories.
Correct.
That's it for that, right?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello?
Well, then come off the radio, boy.
We have to contribute. Where you come off the radio? Shucks. You like to
yeah.
Go ahead. Next go now. Go ahead.
So yeah, give me John 1 and
Good. 1 and 11.
Yeah.
Right? This is the book of John chapter 1 verse 11. He came unto his own and his own received him not.
He came unto his own and his own received him not. I see you calling here, but let me just read the scripture quick. So he came unto his own and his own received him not. Go ahead.
Verse 12. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God.
Right. Now when people hear this, they say that God saying that because because the Israelites did not accept Christ, Christ went into the other races. And he accepted the other races and he taught the other races and he came to save the other races. But that is totally wrong.
Correct.
You understand? Like, we sinned against the Lord.
Right.
And God put us in captivity because of it.
Right.
And the kingdom split. It was
Right.
10 tribes went into the Americas. And Judah, Benjamin, and part of Levi stayed in the motherland, which is Jerusalem.
Right.
But we were still oppressed
Right.
under the white man.
Right.
You understand? That we was not free in the motherland. But some of us was black leaders.
Right.
Even though we was in captivity.
Right.
Some of the black leaders, even though they was in captivity, there was leaders. You understand? Just like how it has some of our leaders today, black leaders even good today.
Right.
You understand? And before Christ was born, you know, the rightful throne
Right.
of the kingdom of Israel was supposed to be his father Joseph.
Correct.
But Joseph, because he was under captivity, you understand?
Right.
He was like the leader without a throne.
Right.
Joseph.
Right.
But because we sin, that is what happened to us right now. We have black leaders right now who...
Go
ahead.
ahead. So like I said, to add to what you're saying there, you see the same people that was black leaders and them, that is the million Jews and them that fled into Africa. At that time, that is some of them would have reached across there. Because what going on with us, and in the Bible telling me that in Luke chapter 17, verse 21, somewhere they tell us, Christ said this prophecy would happen to us, you understand, before it happened. He prophesied that, and the historical records backing up what the Bible saying that this would happen to us, and we'd flee into the mountains, which is Africa.
Yeah.
You understand? And that's what we're going to.
Yeah, give me Luke 7:30.
Come on.
Right, so now we're going to show you now who was the people
Right.
that did not accept Christ. Because yes, Christ came unto his own and his own received him not.
Right.
Let me tell you who we're talking about, because we have limited time here right now.
Right. The book of Luke chapter 7 and verse 30. But the Pharisees and lawyers.
But the Pharisees and lawyers, them is the religious leaders.
Right.
The Pharisees and lawyers, go ahead.
Rejected the counsel of God.
Rejected the counsel of God. So the religious leaders rejected the counsel of God. Them is the ones who Christ went to and they received him not. So
Right.
I more in that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
They rejected the counsel of God against themselves, being not baptized of him.
Being not baptized of him. You all know that baptism is learning the Bible. Baptism is not dipping somebody in water. If you dip a homosexual in water, they will come out a wet homosexual. Baptizing somebody is learning. You teach a homosexual in the Bible, he shall not do be a homosexual, God say.
Right.
And the homosexual will change their way. That is being baptized, not dipping somebody in water.
Right.
If I was a drug dealer and I come to change my life, and you dip me in water, when I come out, I'll be a wet drug dealer. But if you show me in the Bible where God said not to be a drug dealer,
Right.
then I go change my life.
Correct.
So the religious leaders and them rejected the counsel of God and they didn't want it to get baptized.
So like I
Them
said,
is the ones who was against Christ, the religious leaders.
right,
Go
that's
ahead.
right. But today, here they're not against though. Men becoming drug dealers. You know why? If it was unacceptable socially, and you can't, in other words, if you see a drug dealer in the corner, you're going to hunt him and kill him. And I'm just like, you understand, you shall not suffer which to live, which is a drug dealer today. You follow, and now would I get put on a stake somewhere, burn or something like that? You would never do that today.
Yeah.
These religious leaders and them creating more drug dealers.
Yeah.
Because it had room for them. Now they could move anyway. This you could do anything. You could do this, you could do that. You follow? You could kill and whatever, you could get away. God love you anyway. No. If that was socially unacceptable, just as you know it have a green light, you don't cross, you just drive when it's green. When it's red, you just stop. If that was the case, you'd never have drug dealers. Never.
Yeah. Give me Mark 8 and 31. I
Come
see
on.
we are limited our time coming up here.
Right.
So you know who was the black religious leaders? Martin Luther King.
Right.
If Martin Luther King was alive when Christ was there, he would have been one of the people who would have rejected Christ.
Right.
Martin Luther King, because
Correct.
Christ was preaching separation, but Martin Luther King was preaching integration. Christ would have been one of the Martin Luther King would have been one of the black religious leaders who would have been against Jesus Christ. Go ahead, read it. Do you mind?
The book of Mark chapter 8 and verse 30. And he charged them.
31, Yeah.
Verse 31. And he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things.
Right, the Son of Man must suffer many things. Christ, go ahead.
And be rejected of the elders.
And be rejected of the elders. Go ahead.
And of the chief priests.
And of the chief priests.
And scribes.
And scribes.
And be killed.
And be killed. So not only did the black religious leaders rejected Christ, but black leaders as a whole rejected Christ.
Right.
So when Christ said he came unto his own and his own received him not, he wasn't talking about the multitude of people, you know.
Right.
He was talking about the black leaders.
Right.
All of them rejected Christ.
Correct.
When they wanted to kill Christ and free Barnabas, is the black leaders went through the crowd and persuaded the multitude to kill Christ, you know, and free Barnabas, you know, the murderer, you know. So when Christ said he came unto his own and his own received him not, it was not the whole of Israel.
Right.
It was only the black leaders. They
sir.
rejected Christ. Go ahead.
And how powerful that is, how powerful that is, because today they're telling the people them do the same thing. In other words, a man recognize that he's a community leader on the side, he's a community leader on the next side, and that community leader pushing peace and to fix the people on them. And here the next one saying, nah boy, we like drugs and guns and hoes. You understand? We want them thing to run here. You follow racketeering and all this madness. We like this. We want evil to run. That is the same thing they used to do that time, and that is the same thing. The same people back on the earth today. The same four parents and them, the same children come back here. Right on the earth. That is the next topic for next time. But anyway, all they understand where this mentality come from and how to recognize and understand a snake. That's what it is.
Yeah, and don't forget the number to call to get in contact with the school in Trinidad is 290-5173. And don't forget April the 1st at Raleigh, North Carolina.
That's right.
Is the Lord's 54th annual Passover. That is the onlyest Passover on the earth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well.
91.9 FM, yeah. Man, is the vibe. Everybody, let us meet on the street. Our station is #1, bringing balance to the nation. So Calvin and Calypso, rhythm section with limbo. We bringing you plenty vibes, please just share the light. We bring the heat on the street. It will be vibes all day, #1 frequency. Yeah, we stream all day. The mother of all incoming vibes all day. We bring it virtually, #1 frequency. The mother of all carnival. Hey, the mother of all carnival. I said the mother of all carnival. This shit, 91.9 FM. This shit, 91.9 FM. 91.9 FM. This shit, 91.9 FM. 91.9 FM. This shit, 91.9 FM.
Yo, this is Iwer George, big boss of the business. When I want to listen to a radio station, I listen 91.9
FM.
We are the street. 919 FM. The only radio station bringing perfect balance between entertainment and talk. Updating you with current affairs and social issues.
So what, we should just sit down and take the foolishness that's being meted out because of you feel that all you're real bad?
Right? Unlike his situation that I don't even want to go back and bring up and highlight.
You don't have a good record where that is concerned?
Having you in the loop with trends and entertainment. Providing music that lives on.
Darling, I feel the disco.
And spiritual food for the body, mind, and soul.
Satan soul face, we not taking that.
The Street. 919 FM.
The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the Street 919 FM.
This is the voice of Tuesday, Seventh-day Adventist. We are preaching Emergency Alert broadcast, which is from the Tuesday, Seventh-day Adventist Church. We will be featuring voices of brethren from different parts of the world, preaching the gospel, preaching prophecy.